Swivel on both parts, and then if you have to take a preparation to push them off. I just wanted to see, now see from swivel, and then, yes, more like that, yeah. I went to the ballet master and I said, I want to dance, and he said, put on a pair of tights and take the next class, which I did. I looked like a dancing toothpick, which, well, it's not too far from what I look like now, but, style is very sort of fluid and liquidy, and I call it dancing spaghetti myself. Yeah, I'll take that. Turn out and then just turn. Let's do it again. Turn in, turn out, and then from there you turn in, and then you sort of kick through to the front before you jump.
Tom Jobe rehearsing Liquid Assets, one of the two ballets by him that we're going to see performed in this program. The dancers are members of London Contemporary Dance Theatre, which is the company with which he's been mostly associated. An American, after beginning dance in the States, he came to London to train with them, then to dance with them, and then eventually to make works for them himself. But all that easily might not have happened.
I applied to come to the school, London School of Contemporary Dance, and they had a changeover of administration when I applied, so I got an acceptance to the application back, and then like 10 days before I was scheduled to arrive in London to go to this school, they said, I'm sorry, we don't have a place for you in the school. We've just found all of these applicants that we didn't know we'd had. The past administration had, you know, not told us that was there, and so we've completely overbooked the school, and you don't have a place. And this was like 10 days before I was ready to leave, and I'd worked my you-know-what off in summer stock, earning all of this money to come over, and had sponsors sponsoring me to come to England and learn how to dance and all of that. And so I said, well, I'm coming anyway. You know, I'm just going to come anyway. And I literally sat on the steps for a couple of days.
They let him in, of course, and he learnt very quickly, and he became a great success. He'd been born in Missouri, part of the Bible Belt of America. And because of his interest in the arts, he was something of a black sheep there. So he actually ran away from home and only found out what he wanted to do by visiting a girlfriend who was taking a dance class in a Texan university.
When I was in school in Missouri, I absolutely hated physical activity and all organized physical activity. I just abhorred. I mean, it was all part of the locker room jockstrap syndrome, you know, which I couldn't handle very well either. So I absolutely stayed completely away from anything physical until I got to when I saw this dance class, and it was like, it was everything that sports, you know, and all of the physicality and the sweat and the muscles and everything that sports has, but it was all to do with things that were nice and things that were beautiful, and people seemed to be working for themselves as opposed to working like it wasn't like I'm learning how to dance so I can dance better than you, and you know, it was like everybody was just in there working together and for themselves to train their body and to, you know, and it was all for sort of beauty, and I mean, it sounds sort of real hearts and flowery to put it that way, but that was, I think that's what really appealed to me, the physicality of it all on a very sort of non-violent level.
There's too much irony in Tom Jobe for him ever to dance the part of the romantic hero. Even the role of Death, which was created on him in Robert Cohan's full-length work for London Contemporary Dance Theatre, Dances of Love and Death, had its humorous side.
There was a drag number at the beginning of the second act where Death went into travesty and took on a sort of more Marlene Dietrich, Blue Angel type role, and it was quite funny. I was either the funny one or the real nasty, evil. Androgyny came under my, you know, I was always real good at that too. I was always, you know, the ambiguous characters, you know, the one like Jack Frost, you know, the ones that are sort of neither one way or another, and they're a little alarming, but appealing in a certain, you know, the drama queen roles. You know, I was either the funny one or the drama queen. Now, the four girls on all of these traveling phrases that take you up here, and it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4. I don't want to see it go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. I want it to look like it just happens, and then you're off. It's just because I am so tall, I am so lanky, and my legs and arms go anywhere. I think that's the way the style of my type of choreography came to be, was because of the way I was put together physically. Liquid Assets that was like the first piece that I really felt was together enough to really tour in the rep. And it was all based on my experiences working in a bank on Wall Street when I was in New York. Okay, wait. You're returning your typewriter carriage sooner than everybody else is. You're finishing your line ahead of time. And in my typing pool, you all finish at the same time. Life was tough in the Big Apple. I will say it was the most desperate year of my life. Because it was so rough, I had to support myself some way, and I ended up temporary typing for like a secretary from this one bank on Wall Street. Wanted a temporary typist with the view to possibly being a permanent member of their team and working a word processor. And so they trained me on the word processor, which I learned in a week. Oh, and it was a long story. The guy before me was such a mess with his job. I mean, there were bills crammed in every little nook and cranny, and like I had the office like cleaned up in a week. And you see, the reason, because people like that, I'll probably have the whole of the banking world down on me after they see this. People in jobs like that, it's really funny, they don't really know how to work. I mean, yes, they say they work, but I mean, it's like, okay, they maybe do a bit of work, then their buddy comes in and they sit and they talk for 20 minutes, and men in a bank are much worse than women. I mean, the gossip sessions that the male members of the bank got into while they were in this, I was just shocked at. But see, being a dancer, I mean, once you've gone through a strong discipline of getting yourself into a studio and doing a class early in the morning and doing that for the formative years of your career, so then when you get into a job like working in an office or even like working in an ice cream parlor or anything that has any kind of physical effort put into it at all, it's all beans. You look at that and you go, God, they call this work? And I would go in and I'd whip out all this work before my lunch hour, and that was only 2.5 hours after I'd started work in the morning. My lunch hour was at 11:45, and I didn't start until 9:30, so I was, by that time I had all of that work done that everybody else would do 5 minutes of it and then gossip for 20 minutes and then do another 5, so they'd spread it out through the whole day. Well, I'd do all my work in the morning and then play on the computer in the afternoon. I had a great time. I loved that computer. It was one of the most stable relationships in my life. I think I wanted to marry that computer, actually. I was waiting for the sex attachment to be made, but that hasn't happened yet, and I'm sure it'll change society when it does happen, because I know there are lots of other people out there that are in love with their computers, too. But that's how Liquid Assets happened. Brenda Last. It's a story of how I didn't fit in with that world. There are 4 sections, and the first section is called Getting Up. And that was literally me, because I could never get up. It's trying to get out of bed and ending up back in bed. And then the second section, which is called, I think, 8:45, or yes, it's sort of the hours on the way to work. And of course, New York at that time in the morning is just almost traumatic. The subways are packed, and it's traumatic. It's a traumatic experience. And that was the second section of the dance. I tried to get that kind of feeling into it. Everybody bustling and hustling and going to work and, going 90 miles a minute that early in the morning while I was still in bed. A lot of people tend to feel alienated to dance simply because they don't know what to relate to. And if you can pick something, whether it be the music or the costumes or makeup or hair or anything, or the dance or anything that people can relate to, they're going to enjoy it and automatically watch with an interest, as opposed to, oh, you know, that's modern dance, can't understand that, don't understand that at all, you know, and then change the channel, you know, because there wasn't anything that they pop on to, you know, like Joe Blow comes home from work, has a couple of drinks in the pub, comes on, turns on the TV, happens to see whatever, Ride Electric or whatever, hears the music, automatically relates to the music because it sounds like something in a disco or sounds like something or whatever, but because he relates to it, he will watch it. As opposed to if you automatically see something that you don't understand and you hear something that you're not going to understand, then you're not going to be interested in it at all. And I've been interested in trying to get more people to watch dance because I think there's so many, I mean, I think like dance in the videos and dance on television, and that there's so much more that could be done with it.
He did a lot more himself in terms of performing when he moved on to the West End stage. At the moment, he's in chess, but when we talked to him, he was still in his first musical, Starlight Express, in the role of Electra, and on roller skates, of course.
It's very hard to sort of go 40 miles an hour on roller skates and not have a good time. I mean, you can be sort of depressed, but then when you sort of zoom down off that bridge into the audience, you know, there's just not much you can do, but the adrenaline sort of goes like this, and then you're back on the tracks again, you know. But the other different thing about it is that I'm singing two songs. I have two whole numbers by myself that I sing in front of 1,500 people every night, which is very different for me. I mean, the role itself is not a change for me. Again, it's a very sort of ambiguous role, androgynous role. I have those roles for breakfast. That's what I tell everybody in the cast. That's the kind of role that I'm used to doing, you know, one that's slightly over the top. Well, and that one's a lot over the top. 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, and 6, and 7, 8, and
Tom Jobe's ballet Ride Electric comes a bit from his fascination with the modern city, with its electronic wizardry and its disco music. But in another way, it came straight from his experience when he was in Starlight Express.
You know, you wind yourself up to a certain extent, and you have to wind down after the show, and there's no way I could go straight home after Starlight Express. It takes me at least an hour just to, even if it's just me sitting in my dressing room having a beer, smoking a cigarette, listening to my stereo. That's how long I'll be in my dressing room. But I got into the habit of going to this club, which was around the corner from where I lived, which was very convenient. I would treat it like a bar in New York, you know, because they're open till around 4. But because of the licensing laws here, you know, nothing's open after 11, and I can never get out of the theater before 11 because the show doesn't come down until about 10:30. So I started going to this club and having my drink there to come down, you know, after the show. But I started actually looking around me, which was a real trip because, well, I mean, it was a gay bar, and it was just very, very peculiar because I would see the same people there every night. I mean, they were all regulars too, and I don't know what they were expecting to find, but there was this sort of, it was like a hunt. You know, it was like just a big hunt, and everybody's sort of pacing up and down in their cages, and it just had a very, very weird quality to it. I thought, well, I'll do a ballet about this. Try not to make it look like you're late for the dance. Okay, so we've gotten up here, and 5, 6, 7, 8. The longer I worked on the ballet, though, the more it took its own sort of life force into its own hand and sort of went off in another direction. They all sort of started looking like weird gladiators in their own sort of weird rites of spring, you know, and had the same sort of aggression. There was competition. There was much competition in the club as well, you know. It's sort of like who looks the best and who's going to get the best looking person and all of that and everything. And in the dance itself as well, that there's that sort of competition to it. And then at the end of the ballet, the one person that gets chosen is sort of just a random choice. There's no real reason for that. That person just sort of sprang out of nowhere, which is very much like what happens in the clubs. I mean, you know, that last half hour of desperation happens, and then all of a sudden you see people leaving together that you would never dream of having gone together. But I mean, you can't even figure out why they would pick each other up in that way, you know, and so it all looked very random, you know, but it just turned into a very, very strange ritual to me, the whole dance, the longer we worked on it. It got away from the nightclub. It got more into a sort of a futuristic arena, gladiator arena.